on today's show, part 9 of the Tornado. We've been working hard on the Tornado this week, so we'll be showing you exactly where we're up to that one on this week's video build. Live shows, again, Tuesday we had a live show, so at the end of the show we'll be catching up with that. In this week's tip section, we're going to be looking at how to paint tyres the quickest and fastest way and how to do hubs. Kit reviews for you this week, we've got Hobby Boss's 1/48 scale FW-190D Corsair. We've also got the Airframe and Miniatures number 3 book, which is the follow-on, which is the Focke-Wulf FW-190D and TA152 reference book. Flory model sales. Yes, the new company starts this Monday coming, so we'll be looking at their new range and what they're offering. Plus we've got the prize draw from last month and all the forum news and gossip. Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. Well, as you can see, I'm here, which basically means the new lighting rig isn't. The LED lights haven't turned up yet. They are probably due in today. I'm filming this now Friday morning, so they're due in any moment now. So what will happen is next week I won't be here to do the news show. The live show will continue and everything else like that, and there'll be stuff up. It's just that this week I didn't think I was going to be here because we're obviously putting up a new rig above us to have all the new lighting, the cameras and everything else. We've got an electrician coming in and I'm going to pull the studio apart. But that's not to mean there's not lots of great stuff coming up next week. There definitely will be. It's just I thought I'd point that out now because obviously a lot of you are probably thinking I won't be here this week. But these things never run happily. Anyway, this week did enable me to get on very nicely with a few big projects. Obviously I pushed on massively with the Tornado. As you can see, we are up to this point in the thing. We've just literally yesterday put on the flaps and the slats, and let's just say that's a complete pain because the instructions just make it the most complicated way of doing it possible. It could be so much easier, as most other companies have done in the past, but definitely with this one they haven't. Part 9 is up on the site. You're a little bit behind me now as we're basically finishing this off today, but that's going to cover about doing camo work. Now, doing camo work, obviously there's various different ways we've done recently, especially when you're thinking about like the Hind. We used a very simple freehand camo and weathering technique with that one. This one is basically we needed that more sort of hard edge look to it. So hopefully you can see on the overhead we've got this very nice sort of camo system going in with this one to give us that sort of, it's hard edge but I need a soft feathered edge, otherwise it just looks too out of scale, I say. So by going around, and if you look on the sort of close up with the tail planes, you can see you've got it, it looks hard but there's a slight weathering effect to it, and as I pull it round you can probably see on the close-up what I've tried to achieve with it to sort of just blend it all in and everything else like that. We're tackling this one a lot different from our normal builds because I'll say this one hasn't been pre-shaded, we've post-shaded it, so we'll be talking about that as well and working your way through. So if you've ever wanted to do camo work, the easiest way possible then is literally to do the old tack worms way, and that's the way we did it with this one. So in part 9, which you're going to get today, that covers that quite in depth. It's like a half-hour video on how to do it, spraying it and correcting mistakes and things like that. Over the next 2 episodes, which will get you to here, obviously we talk about weathering, post-shading, and then putting these flaps on, which quite frankly was a little bit of a nightmare. So next week, because obviously we won't be here, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get those 2 parts on there, which will really bring you up to speed and get you basically to the last part, which will be the week after, which will really finish this one up. So there'll be 2 parts of this up next week, on next Friday, which will really push you through. Again, I am absolutely in love with this kit. It's one of those kits where in some ways it slightly annoys me. The flap system is overcomplicated, it can be done so much easier, and then other ways I just think it's perfect, it's brilliant because you can do this, that and the other with it. The only thing is, as I say, we're building the GR1 version, so we're having to do a lot of changes to the standard IDS German version, a little bit putting these tails on, these little ones at the top, because obviously it doesn't make any reference to them in there, but luckily we get all these parts in the kit. So fingers crossed that the GR1 4 kit will be out very soon, and I'll have all these little extras that we've had to do as part of the standard kit, but definitely well worth having a look. So this week, as I said, we've been pretty busy. Flory Models as a company split up on the 1st, okay? So as you're seeing me doing this is different now to the sales side of it. Obviously I'm still involved with it, but from day-to-day running I have nothing to do with it. So anyway, part of the big thing that they've actually now developed and released, which actually goes live on Monday morning, is our new Sanders range, okay, which is this set here. Now traditionally we used to do in here, you used to get a multi-pack of the actual sanders, okay, and then you used to get singles of the other range. This one now is totally different. What you actually get, if I can stand him up, is basically multi-packs of everything. So no longer do they do just the normal ones, if you like, okay? So in this particular pack, you're actually going to get, if we run through these, you're going to get this one here, which is our polishing set, which is FMS-002, okay? You've seen me use these recently. We've done some great stuff. You can use it for normal polishing, but it's specially designed for canopies and for gloss finishes. If you want to do high gloss finishes, things like that, these are definitely the one for you, okay? The next one up is obviously the sanding set. So you're going to get a 3-pack of this, the triple one. This is the FMS-003, okay? This is my standard sort of blue sanders, which is your everyday sanding and all the rest of it, okay? They're absolutely fantastic, especially when they've had the edge just taken off of them a little bit. When they're brand new, can be a little bit scratchy, so literally just go and rub it over a brick for a couple of swipes and they're good to go. After that, he says, where it is, we've got 004, okay? Again, it's a triple pack of the sponges that we actually do. This is the polisher and sander in one. So it's basically a slightly finer grit than the actual 003 version, the blue sander. The black one has got then, it's a waterproof, basically wet and dry paper onto it as well. All of these are waterproof anyway, okay? So you can just wash them out after use, or you can use them wet or dry, okay? So you get a 3-pack of those. Then you get our standard sanders, which is in the various colours. So you've got the white for the coarse, the blue cord for the medium, and green then for the fine ones. Okay, they're both double-sided, separate grits. They're all stepped all the way through. Okay, so you go right the way from extremely coarse, which is obviously this one back here, to your medium, to your fine, and then you've even got even finer on the other sides again. Then we've got 4 packs of skinnies. So you actually get a 12-pack of each one. Okay, so you get 12-pack of the 5mm skinnies, okay, in the coarse, which is FMS-006. You get the medium, which is the blue core, okay, 12-pack again, which is 007, and 008, which is the green one. Okay, so again, it's 12 packs of each of them, so you've got loads of options in there. Then you've got the skinny ones. This is a 10-pack of the actual ones for the blue. So it's the same as our blue sander, but it's the skinny version, okay? And again with the black one. So wherever the black one's gone, this is the black sander as a skinny as well. Works extremely well. Plus now you get in the set the actual sheets. So these are complete sheets put in here. So you get 2 packs of them. The great thing with these is a lot of people, especially on the live show this week, they were talking about how to get in tight areas and all the rest of it. This is how I do it. You get hold of these sheets, cut them up into anything, stick them onto whatever you want to go, and you go. They're still foam backed, but they are completely floppy. There's no core to them, so you can literally put them and get them exactly everywhere you want. The difference thing as well, okay, where are we? Here's the thing. Non-members, you get 10% off of this. This is a 10 set, so technically it's 50 quid's worth of gear. So you get 10% off of that. So that's going to now be £43.20. Members, you're going to get standard 20% off everything these days. So that's going to come down to £38.40. That's for the full sets of absolutely everything. Okay, so no longer do you just get one of each for the sanding sponges and things like that. Now you get the entire one, and it comes in our very nice bag system like this with our very own Flory Girls sander on the front and everything else. Okay, so that's that one there. And then we've also brought in, there's a set you can now buy as a 2, which has one of the sponges of each type in there and one as a skinny as well all the way through. So the only thing you don't get in there is the actual big sponge sheets, okay? And that one there, and again, you get 10% off for non-members for buying the set, and then 20% off. So basically it's normally £10 for both, so you're going to be getting £9 and £8 for members and non-members alike, okay, right the way through. The washes, everyone spoke about this. This is, you know, it's one of those things. I hate to say new formula. I'm sure companies just do it to literally flog more products, okay? I don't do that. We improved the formula about 3 to 4 months ago now, okay? It was probably more like 6, I'm thinking about it, since we started. It's thicker. A lot of you have seen the video builds recently. You would have seen that it looks a lot thicker. It covers far, far better. One pass now, especially through an airbrush, it will coat everything, whereas before you needed 3 or 4 coats. That is our new wash set, which comes now with the Flory Girl on the front. As you can see, there she is. You'll get that all the way through. To be honest, we've got another label to go on the back with all the bits and pieces. That is available now, but don't think, oh, that's the new version and rush out. If you've bought a bottle of wash in the last 6 months, the chances are it is the newer one, and you've probably noticed it's thicker anyway. But if not, again, members, you'll get usual thing on that one. You'll get 20% off, and non-members, you'll get 10% off of that, and that's basically how they're working it. The new polo shirts should be on the site next week as well. Hopefully they'll be sorted and done. Also the mugs, the pens, the posters and all the bits and pieces that come along with this one, and the badges and all of that, and the stickers, they'll all be up on the site. I know a lot of you have asked about it. The big bomber jackets, as we spoke about in the live show, they are not cheap at all. They are hand painted and done onto jackets. You have to give all your sizes for the leather jacket, as in your arm lengths and everything else, because they are tailor made to each person, and they are horrendously expensive, as you know. A few of you have mentioned you'd still go ahead with it. Again, details will come up from the sales team about it. They will have an area in the forum. You can talk to them about it and be able to work it out and things like that, really. So, as I said, big changes from that. What that means for you guys watching this, we spoke about it a bit yesterday, is that because I no longer have anything to do with this at all, I don't do the manufacturing, the sales, the postage or anything at all, it frees me up to do a lot more work. So this week I've been basically working things out, obviously the studio setup and everything else like that, but I have literally just started on the Heinkel, so the first part will be up next week, working way through. Also, I'm going to be starting on something else next week as well, so I'm going to have 3 builds on the go at any one time, purely because I can spend basically a day on each build every week, and then have a spare day and then a day for today doing news shows and reviews and everything else like that. So you'll get loads more interaction and everything else. So what we're going to have is a big ongoing build, and trust me, the Heinkel is going to be that, because I've got the full big set for that, which is massive. There's tons of metal work to go on with that one. That's going to be our long-term project over a few months. We're going to have a mid-range project, which will probably be something like we did with the Tornado here, which is a 48 scale kit, modern, old. It might be armor in 1/35, something else like that. You know, just generally something to knock around. And then I intend to do something as a small build, which will be a 1/72 or very much smaller scales for armor, things like that, which I can put together really quickly and push through. So everybody gets a little bit of everything. A lot of you have asked obviously about me doing different subjects. So certainly one of my next subjects up, I am doing the Ford F350 truck, okay, the Meng one. I'm going to be doing it full gloss finish and everything else like that. So we're going to mix it all up now between now and, you know, Christmas certainly, and get things sort of moving and everything else. The other thing as well, I'm going to be taking part in all the group builds and all the SIGs. I guarantee I'm going to have an entry into all of those from now, because I've got all this free time to really develop this and sort of move it on and bring you more. Okay, so between that and the live show now is every single Tuesday night. We're going to mix it up a little bit for time zones, as we spoke about before, so the Australian guys can get involved with it, or if you're in that particular time zone, and the US, so we'll do it live to your time zones. The US one's going to be a nightmare, because we're going to have to either be up at something like 3 in the morning, but it'll be a lot of fun. We'll enjoy doing it. And everything else. So me and Sid are on form with that, and we're going to be with you every single week doing those things. This week's special guest with us, who's going to join us via the powers of internet, is going to be Steve Sutcliffe. He's going to be with us on Tuesday night live. So if you've got anything about his work, and we all know him from armor especially, so if you've got any questions on armor, you know, aftermarket, resin work, bases, as in dioramas, things like that, through to weathering, he's your man. Okay, so post up your questions in the questions area on the main forum, and then obviously we can get them to them during the evening as we grill him nicely. Okay, so there we go, that's about it. Right, first up, review time. Let's have a look at the Corsair. This is the Hobby Boss 148 kit. Hello, welcome to Flory Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got the Hobby Boss 148 scale. This is the F4U4B Corsair, which is obviously the bubble top one, the later version as it comes right the way through. Now, we've it's not exactly the newest kit, but obviously with the Tamiya one coming out pretty soon, it'll be interesting to see what we've got. So for the 48 scales, obviously you've got Tamiya in this range. It's pretty well done throughout all the decades and everything else. But the nice thing with Hobby Boss, it's pretty straightforward and at a relatively cheap price. Okay, so the usual blurb we'd expect. Very nice packaging again, which is something we expect. We'll make our way through. Okay, and everything else. So what we'll do, we'll start with our instructions. So, okay, what have we got here? It's kit number 80388. Okay, let's got the colour call out, we'll look at that in a moment. Okay, so working our way through, usual way of doing it, so we've got the sprues call out and everything else. We don't get any photo etch of this particular one. Okay, we've got the usual type of Corsair tub system, which is very nice because it gives it an extra level of detail, but going in there, very nice to see it on a 148 scale. pretty common in 132nd, but in 148 it's not. Okay, we've got decals which are going to be an instrument panel, which is fair enough going through. Looks like we're going to have here a very nicely detailed engine. So we've got nice hose lines coming out with that, perhaps a tiny bit of electrical wiring put on that will give you a very nice engine indeed. Just looking at it, it's very reminiscent of the way that the 132nd trumpeter kit goes together. Okay, over on the other side, because obviously it's wing fold, we've got the lower wing section with the top ones going in there, and then obviously you've got your little brace sets for setting it up for the wing fold. Tail gear system goes in, and then I presume obviously depending if you want it folded or straight will depend on what you put into here. So you've got your bars, so you've got the plug system or for the folder. Radiators go in there on the front, pretty standard, and then putting it all together. Okay, so obviously you've got the tail wheel system going in, the cockpit sort of tub fitting in with the side panels and that lovely engine. Two sides going to halves you'd expect. We've got some nice detailing going on with the tailplane and the rudder set going in there, quite nice. Then we've got the bar going in on the side, this separate system going in, underplug going in and cowling on. Looks like you don't get the option of an open cowl on this one. For the actual open panels and everything else. Obviously you've got the cowl flaps open position, not in the closed. Okay. No gun bay at all detail, unfortunately, so obviously you're going to cover this up, or perhaps you can pop in an aftermarket resin set into there. Looks like you've got positionable control surfaces, another nice touch. Then the little parts all going on the front, same for the other side. Wings, obviously, depending which way you're going to be having them, folded or straight out. Main gear, pretty simple, but going in there. And then onto the final page, which is funny, it doesn't show it in the wings up position, which obviously it does come in, but actually doesn't show it down here. Okay, and then there we go, we've got the actual fuel tanks going on. Okay, fuel line system, the vent hoses, these are fitting in there and everything else. So as you see, it doesn't show it actually with the wing fold up, but it must do it. Quite frankly, it has to, because you get the options for it. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We've got your colour callouts, as you can see just down here. So obviously we've got, this is for the Korean one, 1952, featuring VF53, and then we've got the Marine one, 332 as well, which is a little bit more colourful with the markings around the front end there and everything else. Your normal callouts, as I say, it's calling it out in your colours. Basically Guns is the one to go for. It's saying that Tamiya doesn't do it, although I think they do now, they're new colours. So that shouldn't be a problem. Vallejo, you should be able to cross-reference that, no problem at all. So the kit itself actually doesn't look too bad. We've got various parts down in here. So whipping open the front, first of all having a look at the fuselage. So as you can see, pretty good detail, I have to say. That's very nice recessed panel line detailing there. You catch it in the light, you see down the back end here. That's pretty good, no problem with that at all. It doesn't fade off towards the middle either. It's a very nice, very sharp job on that, no problem at all. Looking very good, no sink marks or anything else. The tail wheel, they all have this thing on there, so I'm thinking this could be a scaled down version of the Trumpeter 132nd one, because it does it in the same way, where you can position it up or down. Why you'd ever want to is beyond me, because you can't change the main gear, but certainly the tail wheel does. No details on the inside, but as we know, we've got parts that are going to be doing that. Okay, pop that over there, we'll have a look at those afterwards. Okay, so the underside. Okay, so looking at the under detail, as you can see, pretty good, some nice level of detail. Again, the riveting all looks very nice, very sharp, very crisp. So does all the panel lining, doesn't fade off. There's no sink marks, no hint of flash absolutely anywhere. You've got these tops of the wings which have a very nice, it's a separate texture, it looks like, to the rest of it. It looks like a little bit more texture around these areas here, which would be your walkways in real life. Okay, again, looking pretty good. I can't see any problem with that at all. Looking on the inside, you've actually got some ribbing detail. There isn't a ejector pin in there like you'd find all too often, so that actually looks pretty good. And then obviously opening up the holes for the drop tanks on that one. Okay, so into the wings. Very nice that they're all separate bag like this. Good quality bags as well, so you're not going to have any problem. Actually, that's really nice. You can see there on the detail this lovely ribbing, and again, all of the actual riveting details very sharp and crisp. All the panel lining is as well. No sink marks. No stress marks, no nothing at all. Really, really nice. And even the little stepping for putting the panels in, if they fit nicely, it should go in very nice. But it does give you the option underneath to do something. All the ejector pins, pretty nice. Tiny little bit of flashy one up there, but that's just being picky now. Right the way through. Actually, have to say, this is absolutely a cracking kit. Very much on par with the Tamiya one. And I've built a few Tamiya ones, but obviously never this one. Drop tanks, usual thing, so they just pop up into each other. Again, as I say, not much to see on a drop tank, but very nicely done. No seam line, no nothing like that at all. Very nicely done from there. Okay, control surfaces. So it should be a little bit more detailed in here. We've got a little protection, which I do love the way Hobby Boss, and come to it obviously Trumpeter, do this protection business for the more delicate parts. They're the only manufacturer I know that actually do it. Okay, and what it was all of that was just to protect these couple of little pins sticking up, and that was it. So absolutely lovely. But overall, as you can see, looking at the sprue, we've got all the control surfaces down here. So looking around in detail, as you can see, we've got some very nice, catch it in the light, there we go. All the details for the access panels up there in the housings. All the control surfaces, some nice stressed, you can see it down here. Obviously the tail planes, everything else. All these flaps working our way down here. As you can imagine, pretty good. No flash, no nasties, no mismolds. Again, and then if we run along the bottom, you can see that that's actually all very nice. It's very sharp, it's very crisp, which is a very nice touch. Okay, looking on the inside, luckily for us, we've got the wheel wells down here, and as you can see, we do not have an ejector pin mark in there either, so somebody is listening, and we're good on the other one as well. So we've got no ejector pin marks anywhere that's going to be a problem. Good all over. I can't see any problem with that whatsoever. That's a very nice sprue. Okay, moving into some more of the detailed areas. Let me just get that guy off. Again, it's absolutely lovely the way this is done. So as you can see, we've got basically down in here the prop itself. Looking at it, looks very, very nice. Tiny little bit of flash on the edge, but nothing you worry about. Okay, and then going through, obviously we've got the hoses, a little bit of flash all over these hoses, as you can see just down here, but nothing you'd really write home about. It's nothing that wouldn't clean up very, very easily. And then obviously we've got the control panel sides, and then working our way around, a little bit of flash just down here on the inside of the grills coming in for the radiators. Instrument panel is a bit bland if we're honest, but obviously we've got a decal that's going to go on there. Oh, I see what they've done. It's a twin one, so you've got this one and this one down here. So this one's got the detail on, but that one doesn't. So actually very nice rudder pedals. Got the insides to actually everything. So generally that actually is very, very nice. Everything's got some nice level of detail. Right the way down to the riveting down here on the hub. All around there. And obviously got the spinner. Great job. So it looks like, as I say, we've got two types. I have to check on this when you do it, but obviously you've got instrument panel 1, bit of 2, and another one down here 3. Not sure how that all works. I didn't pick up that. Very nice though. Okay, so this should be the meaty end with the rest of the engine. Okay, so quick here, a new blade. Again, very nice protection, very nicely thought out. And there we go, probably that's the correct side up, as you see it. So working our way around, you can see these small parts for the undercarriage, very nicely done, beautifully moulded. Working our way around, no problem with any of that at all. Wheels in 2 halves with the hubs inside, which is far easier to do than messing around with them as a separate. Some nice level of detail on there. Working our way around there, we've got the exhausts coming out. And then some more of this gear detail working our way around. This one doesn't look as flashy as the last one, if we're honest. This one's very clean, no problem at all. Okay, very nicely done. And then we've got the rear bulkhead just down in there, some nice details. Some of these parts again, very nicely done. And then we've got the engine, which admittedly is a little bit soft. Perhaps it would have been nice if this is a little bit sharper, but considering you're not going to see it really unless you open it all up, that's not a problem, any of that. Looking at all of those, that's a really nice kit. Okay, so down in here we have, let's start with the cowl flaps first. Okay, so cowl flaps only in the open position. Okay, relatively basic on the inside, but you're not really going to see massive amounts in there, but very nice one piece mould there of those. Not bad at all. Okay, and then we've got the actual cowling itself, which is sort of on a twist piece. Again, very nice. We've got no centre seam running through this you're going to have to take out, or not that I can see. There it is, it's just there. It's very, very fine. I don't know how well the camera will, even if the camera can, just about there, pick that out. But again, beautifully done, very nice, tiny little bit of flash in there, which actually just brushes off with your finger. Beautiful. Right, okay, so next up we have the clear parts. Okay, our standard sort of clear test. As you can see, a little bit of wobble over most of those things, but it is a complex curve. But you get it on the sides, look, no problem at all. Pretty clear on all of those. And then the front one, as you can imagine, the front there is crystal, no problem with that at all. All of those, it's just, I think it's quite, because obviously it's a curve and it's leaning back, it makes it a little bit more tricky to sort of all get on there, but not too bad at all. But generally very nice, no centre seam lines to worry about, anything else like that. And you've got a nice level of a slight raised edge, so it's easy to mask against as well. Very nice, very, very clear. Okay, so last up we'll just have a look at the decals. Quick look-see in here. Again, the thing I like about Hobby Boss, it's almost like they listen, because I always say about how you should have a piece of film taped to it, okay, because too often these things come off and go a wander or fold underneath, but when they're actually taped, they hold in position, and the whole point of this stuff is to protect the sheet, and actually they do, so it's really nice to see that. But there we go, as you can imagine, pretty basic. This is a little bit horrible if we're honest down here, so shame about the instrument panel decals. I was hoping they were going to be a little bit special, seeing as they're an after. And generally the decals themselves aren't exactly the best. They're pretty thick. You might want to go down the aftermarket route if I'm honest. The stenciling data is a little bit blurred. You can't really see too much out of that. The bigger stuff obviously is fine, no problem at all. But as I said, like doing this as well is a little bit of a no-no. Who the hell is actually going to put a decal onto the arrestor hook? That would just never work. So there we go. I must say, the full retail on this one is around about £30. So for a £30 one, obviously you only got to pay a little bit more and get the Tamiya. And I know most of you know the Tamiya Corsair kits quite well. This is obviously a slightly later version than the Tamiya one. So obviously being the 4B version, but certainly it's on a par with. Is it better? I wouldn't know, I haven't built it. Looking at the parts, it's definitely on a par with the Tamiya F4s. So certainly, and obviously this one you can get discounted and things like that around on the net now. Obviously the Tamiya ones you don't get as much. But I have to say, looking at the detail from 148 Corsair's point of view, that is a fantastic kit. As I say, nice kit. You know, it's one of those things we spoke about it a lot recently, is that how manufacturers develop over time. And we were talking obviously about other manufacturers who are not quite to a level yet. Hobby Boss definitely are at a level now. They're on a par with any of the top manufacturers. And that Corsair, the detailing, the crispness, and generally as the kit as a whole, is absolutely fantastic. And the amazing thing with all the Hobby Boss kits is the price. You know, there we go. We're talking basically, you know, a £30 kit, lots of detail, and you know, the only thing that lets it down, I should think, is the old details for the instrument panel, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick up an aftermarket set to fix that, or certainly have a look around for sort of aftermarket bezels and things like that. You know, you can pick them up quite cheaply. Always handy to have in your spare set anyway, and take care of a little problem. But absolutely, apart from that, the detailing is amazing, the quality of the plastic and everything else, and at a fantastic price. So I put that on a par with the Tamiya Corsair any day of the week. Absolutely lovely. Okay, wheels. We all have things painting wheels, and if you're an armour guy, if you're a civilian car guy, or just an aircraft guy. One of the reasons I'm an aircraft guy is because, quite frankly, like on here we have 4, and it's always been that thing, you've only got 4 wheels to paint. And as you might see, we get you down on the close-up, you can see we've got our wheels down here. No problem at all, looking very, very nice. Okay, from the insides or the outsides, they are no problem at all. How do I do it? The wheels themselves, as I said, you're going to have to paint these. Easiest way that I find to do it is to do the entire thing black, and then we do the centers afterwards. The other point as well, if you're doing it with this way, by painting them black everywhere, it's a nice solid color, so when you put the white on, it's a real thick, heavy looking white. Also, it gives it a tint which is more natural to everything else. So these little guys, I don't know how well they're going to stick in. That's pretty good. All right, so all we're going to do is paint the entire wheel. We've got to give it a flat spot and everything else, so just keep the air nice and light and dusty over these. Okay, and that's it. Just like that. Let it dry naturally, totally dry, and then we'll come back. What we'll do, we'll get the white out again, and I'll show you about doing the centers. Okay, so this is done now. So as you can see, wheel wells, very nice and white, sorted, and we got the front one down there, exactly what we wanted. We've got these nice tips put on the sides, as you can see, just down here. Also, those are all done, white, and we got the one at the top. Now the thing is, I'm not going to unmask the back end of it, purely because we need to remask it for doing the metal work around there and all the bits and pieces. So it's easier just to leave it on there, and then we can take care of that later. Next up, we've got the wheels. So these are black, dried, very nicely, no problem at all. Okay, so what we're going to use is our template. Now this is just one of those circle templates, absolutely great. You can pick these up at the local sort of pound store, okay, or online, no problem. All you do, you want a good size one. So this one goes from 1mm to 23, no, it goes even more than that, to 36mm. Okay, so any type of armour, if you're ever doing armour, you've got loads of wheels to do, this is the thing. Trust me, it's so much quicker. So all we're going to do is mask off the size we need. Now, if you've got a good quality one, shall we say, versus the cheaper one, you'll get an actual, a little area. And it's like a little sort of step. I don't know how well the camera actually picks them up, but it's like a little step. So you get step side and a flat side. Make sure you use the flat side, not the step, or you're going to get a shadow. Great for doing circles, not leaving ink on your paper. Useless for doing wheels, okay? So you want the step side upwards, if you like, okay? So then all we do, we know this one's in here. You could tape it into place, but I prefer to just hold it. You pop it in like this, take your white, okay, and then just come in, all the angles, and you spray, okay, and there we have our wheel hub done. Easy as that. We just do the outer side. Obviously you need them to dry, and the other thing you really have to watch out for is that you don't get any overspray onto the inside of the wheel. Okay, so we've got this guy down here. So we just do this one. Now the other thing as well, because these are so perfect, okay, and take literally seconds like that to do, even if you're slightly off, it shouldn't actually make any difference. But there's our wheels, 30 seconds to do that, absolutely perfect every time. Never mess around with ever painting them by hand again. This is so much quicker, and it's neater, and does a better job. So obviously you probably need a smaller diameter to do these other ones. So if we just roughly work out what we're going to need, I think it's probably going to be about there, maybe, I'm thinking. So it's just that thing of working out which diameter you need. I'm thinking around about a 5mm. So we'll just need another bit of tape just to take it up. The idea with taping around or off, so you don't get any overspray going in and through onto your actual wheel. All right, so again, we're just going to poke him up and line him up. When you're happy he's in the middle, all good. And again, by using dry or thick unthinned paint, you won't have any trouble with it running and everything else. And there's our little wheel done. Okay, and as I said, after you've done it this way, you will never do a wheel the other way ever again, because it's just so, takes too long, it's fiddly, it's messy, and this is just so clean and accurate and so much easier. Okay, and after I've did one many moons ago like this, I have never gone round to doing them the other way now. Okay, so we're just going to line him up. And this one, what I'm going to do is take him slightly off centre. So I've deliberately just got him slightly off centre, and you might be able to see it doesn't actually matter because it's a perfect circle. You might notice it's slightly off on this one. little bit of thinned paint, tuck it down, let the capillary action will cure it, but actually you can get away with it. So even if it's got a tiny little mistake, you won't have a problem. One thing to remember, okay, first of all is obviously don't get it on the underside, because if you get it on the underside, when you rub it on, it's going to get a bit of white paint on the tyre, and then you're going to lose it. Keep it clean as well. If it gets paint build up or any scratches on the inside, it will scratch your tyre. The other thing as well you want to do is every now and again, get yourself a sheet and clean this off a little bit. The idea with cleaning this off and keeping this clean in here is you get a nice clean area. Otherwise you get the moisture or the paint or anything else comes through on the inside. Again, it affects your spray pattern and everything else like that. So don't allow it to build up to the point where it's wet. Otherwise when you touch it in, the capillary action will drop in, go all over your nice tyre and ruin your job. Let that dry for around about 10-15 minutes, come back, turn them over, because obviously you do need to hold them. You don't want to leave a fingerprint in there. That's why I normally do the insides first, and then you come back, and if you did get a little bit on there, no one's going to notice. Okay, but that is probably the easiest and simplest way to do that. Okay, and there we go, that is it. And with the white from doing that exact aircraft, probably one of the best pounds you'll ever spend. Obviously you can get more expensive ones, but certainly have a look around your local sort of cheap stores, those ones that do cheap books and things like that. You can pick these up. All you want to do is do them roughly, if you can, in around about 1/2 mil sizes. That tends to be about right. I've never found one that doesn't do it yet, but even if it's a tiny bit big, by the time you do a capillary action wash around the outside, that'll cover up any sort of, you know, overspray you might have. But certainly it revolutionized my way of doing wheels and took out that entire, you know, nightmare with it. So literally just spray them black, leave them completely dry, then come back and overspray them and do it that way. And it's just the most easiest thing ever, and it just takes all of that sort of worry and nightmare and out of doing wheels, especially for you armour guys, you know. And that's where I got that tip from. Actually, it came from an armour source. I saw an armour guy doing it and thought that's got to be the way forward, and it definitely is. Anyway, next up review for you, we've got, this is the airframe and miniature number 3 on the FW-190D. Okay, book review time. Today we've got is the FW-190D and the TA152. Now, a couple of weeks ago we reviewed the same book, but that was just for the 190 series, which is the normal one. The D is the one with the extended, it's got the different engine in it, and the bits and pieces all around the front area. As you can imagine, quick run through, it's done by Richard Franks, it's airframe and miniatures number 3 book. It's absolutely beautifully done. Again, just like the old one, as I say, we'll just have a quick light sort of skip through this. But as you can imagine, the quality of the images inside is absolutely fantastic. And if you ever wanted to know anything about, obviously, the D version of the Focke-Wulf, then this is definitely the book for you. We've been talking about it recently in various live chats we've been doing, especially about you know, reference books and the cost of them compared to using like the internet and typical Google searches and walkarounds. And as we were saying, I think it's that thing, if you want to be more into the reference and the historical thing, you want some nighttime reading for instance, then obviously books like this are sort of invaluable. And certainly from the point of view of the modeler, it's something that you could have on your shelf and think one day I'm going to do a project on, and then, you know, I might need some reference material. This is probably a one-stop book because of literally everything that's in here, every single version as we've seen before, the different versions between them. And then obviously being from a modeler's point of view, we've got all this great call outs on colouring, and then a little bit further on I do believe we're talking about the kits, what's available at the time of doing the book out there to make the particular types of models. I'm not sure if they're very much for and against type books, but there we go. Then we've got some of the photo builds going through these ones that we've seen before, perhaps in certain magazines and things like that, but certainly, as you can see, very nice different ways of doing it, different types of weathering, and from a modelling point of view, some very nice good tips and tricks you could pick up in here for doing this one. And then obviously, you know, talking about the various different types as we make our way through in this very easy to understand format, instead of just being sort of a big thing with different versions, we can actually see it here. And as I say, some great little reference things, like, to be honest, we've got this one down here in the back canopy, things like that. So, you know, certainly from a modeler's point of view, fantastic references, research, history, and everything literally all in one. And as I said, back to the different types of kits, the accessories that you can actually get for this particular one, and everything else like that. So as you can imagine, and then like we had last time, we've got this massive the actual pull out or fold out with all the scale drawings and exactly of everything it is. Again, it's £18, it's not cheap, but sort of an invaluable reference guide to the Focke-Wulf 190D. So you said reference books, way to go. You know, as you say, if you're doing it long term, if you're not, Google is your friend, trust me. And also post up, you know, chuck it in the forum. Has anybody got references on blah, blah, blah? I'm sure everybody has. And we're not talking breaking copyright rules and stuff like that here, but you know, it does help, you know, just having a little bit of information on or go to, walk around, things like that, absolutely fantastic. But as I said, from a historical point, and if you want to go that little bit more and more on research rather than just, you know, images for references, that is definitely the book for you. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so we just obviously we're into a new month, we're into October, so that means the prize draw was last month, and we had loads of entries into that one, and I think that was for a full set of washes, a year's subscription to Flory models, and some goodies. So definitely well done for that one. Went to Clint Carter, and you're from New South Wales in Australia, so that's going all the way down under. You will get, obviously, I think it's a full set of washes or sanders, whichever one it was. You'll get a full one, and I'll send you the new ones as well. It won't be the old ones. You'll get the new set of and everything else like that. Plus, we're bunging you in the new Flory model sticker and the pen and the various bits and pieces as well. I have a pen here, and we can even send you a badge, a limited edition white badge, because we've got them in white and black. And obviously we've got the pen as well, so we'll get those off to you this week. Well done, Clint. Remember, if you want to enter, you have to be a member, you have to be in the forum. Just go along, top area we've got in the forum, you've got the prize draw section. It's always the one at the top because it's pinned to the top. Just go in there, put in your name, count me in, blah blah blah, and we will then get you through. As I said, the sales team, because it's their baby now, they're going to be donating all the prizes to it. I am told, when we had a bit of a talk the other day, that they're possibly putting kits into it and things like that as well. But certainly from my point of view, I'll always chuck in the year's subscription to Flory models. They're putting in obviously the new set of Flory models sanders. This is the ultimate set with everything we do in there, the full 10 pack, and then I'll bung in some goodies as well, so stickers and various bits and pieces. So well done. Talking of stickers, I know I'm still going on about, I am still waiting for them to turn up. It's not my fault. I'm told they'll be in before the weekend, 11:45, still not here. So anyway, we'll see if they turn up. Hopefully they will. If not, it should be next week. After next week, I'll panic, okay? But until then, I'll get them in, and then you guys who I've promised stickers for in the forum and things like that, I will get them out to you. But honestly, it's not my fault. They just haven't turned up, and we'll get them in. We covered basically the group builds and everything else like that last week, as you know about. We are doing a further one at the end of the year next year, which is basically the dog of a kit group build, which is all kits which are really bad, and normally the very old ones. That's the only one we're going to add to that. Loads of feedback on doing the group builds and everything else. This year, and certainly for next year as well, we're going to push through. We're going to make more of a bigger thing of it. Get everybody together with this one and push through. But the details for that, we spoke about it last week. The chart is up now, and it is now downloadable as well if you want to download it as a PDF. So just knock yourself out with that one. As I say, you don't have to be brilliant, you don't have to be a master at this, you just have to have fun and do them and just post them up. The thumbs up and down thing we spoke about last week as well. Obviously that's going really well. Everybody's basically got the hang of that now, so I'm liking the way everyone's liking things. It just makes things so much easier in the forum and everything else, so well done to everybody. Right, that's about it this week. Obviously we had the live show on Tuesday, so I'm going to leave you some of the comedy highlights from that one, including where I tip paint everywhere and my haircut. Okay, so until 2 weeks time, as I said, we're not here next week. We're having the upgrade, and I'll probably give you a walk around of it once it's done, and everything else like that. But until then, everybody, happy modelling and take care. Back with you again for another Tuesday night. It's myself, Phil Flory, with
and Sid.
With Sid.
Welcome.
As I say, we're sort of in amongst everything at the moment.
Yep, I'm just loading up the page.
We're just loading up the page and everything, and we'll be right with you. See, it was worth us starting 2 minutes early.
It was.
So whilst you sort yourself out, I'm having a drink. So I need one now after this. Right, okie dokie. Okay guys, you know the drill. Literally all your questions, post them up in the forum, and my glamorous assistant Sid will make his way through them.
Indeed.
And then we'll answer as many as we can throughout the evening, or any other gossip you want to talk about and anything else. But you know, it's
the camera. She is actually coming together very, very nicely.
Still rattles.
Still rattles. No, I am going to do it. To be honest, I was going to do it today. My plan is I'll do it properly. I'll do it live on cam, so don't panic from the booth. But I'm going to come in by the well.
Right.
I'm going to drill a hole, fill it with PVA glue, leave it overnight standing up, and then I'll fill. Probably I'll put a shimmer plastic card in, actually, paint the plastic card, and job's are good. And we're all set to go then.
Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. No, it'll be
Best
fine.
plan.
Best plan. Well, I was going to do it with super glue, and then I had visions of like unmasking it, and it's like a frosted effect. And you're, oh no, I have to cut it off and buy a new canopy for it. So it wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
And the end of the bit of that is,
brushes.
what brushes do you use?
To be honest, I don't use quality brushes, shall we say. I have in my collection, I think you'll find.
I go to a pound shop and buy all the cheap ones.
Yeah, that's it. I have a Humbrol set, which actually lasted me very well. And I've probably got some more somewhere. I got the Humbrol set, which actually weren't, as I say, too bad at all. I also bought, here we are. This is the Master Tools set, which is Trumpeter's Tools division. They did a set of flats and a set of rounds, and I'm using them. And so far, they're standing up very well.
Good.
But I must admit, I'm not one of these people who buys really expensive brushes, because I am very bad, and I leave them and they go solid, and
I always
disposable
find
item.
that the tips of them never stay the same for me.
No, well, that's when you should be getting your wax and your, all that. You can, you know, you get the guys who like, you know, this is like a 300 quid brush, and they're like, you know, waxing.
I'll give it a clean,
like a thing, and
I'll dry it off, and and that's me done. Back in my little
beeswax. Put it on, off to a point, little holder over it, and then left for the next time. Me, I forget them, and they're rock hard, and I have to put them in cellulose thinners to get them out. And there's the bit where you're trying to do it, and it just comes off in one lump, and it's like, oh, right, okay.
That's due for the diet.
Yeah, the grass.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what happens with me.
How do you make your grass? With my own brushes.
Yeah, it's all my own brushes, which I've got hundreds. I actually had a somebody sent me I think it was a PM through the site, or just the other way in, and somebody asked me about priming over photo etch, because he's tried to use the whatever it is one. Oh God, what's it called? The polyurethane.
Oh, right, yeah.
And obviously it hates shiny things.
Okay, so it stands off.
Yeah, so basically I said, right, okay, well, what you want to do really is use, I would use Tamiya, acrylic, something like that, just prime straight onto it, and then go over it with whatever you want to go over it with. So it's not so much.
There you go, you can have my heart.
Oh, thank you. I'll bite that.
I'll have your egg.
Hold on, that's the adult version. I won't go down that road. Right, yeah, so I would use Tamiya, certainly acrylics. If you wanted to, you can also do surface primers, which are basically lacquer-based, cellulose-based. That'll cover it.
Okie dokie. Ron. Hi, Ron.
Leading Ron.
If you, sorry, it's because I've got to sweep me now. If you do the next Geek Meet as a live broadcast, I'm worried that Adam might get a bit camera shy. You know what it's like.
True.
Got a question for you about Valero paints, not Model Air. Was using some of them the other night and was getting a couple of seconds of paint, then a few seconds of just air. I had to pull back on the trigger harder than normal. Some more paint would blast out, eased off, then nothing again. It was either flooding out or flooding out too fast or not at all. Do you reckon I didn't thin enough?
Yes. Simple thing is, I don't know how well the camera will pick this up. I have a bottle of Model Colour, as it's commonly known, and Model Air. Model Air, as we know, is pre-thinned, ready to shoot, and literally drips out like that. And you could put it straight in your airbrush and spray it.
And that's the difference you're saying between the white lids and the black lids.
Yeah, this is Model Colour, which, don't get me wrong, they do every colour you can ever think of, and they do some great things.
And that's just a Valero paint, yeah?
Yeah, and here's the difference. See? That's the difference.
I was expecting that.
Nor was I, just cover me wig.
Oh,
Yeah, quick. Oh, it's live. For all you doubters, you just covered the tornado. So there you go. That's the difference between Model Air. Oh, I'm covered in it now. That was the problem you were having with your airbrush. It was having trouble getting it out. So then when you push too hard, it spits. Did you like that?
And if anybody was drinking at the time, they just spat all over their computer. We do apologise.
Or over your model. So yeah, so that's hey, interaction is best. Anyway, on that note,
Next one.
next. That's your problem. Literally, Model Air is very thick, and it needs a lot of oomph to get it out. Thinning it is a little bit of a minefield because certain colours thin better than others, I found with model colour. And if I'm honest with you, that's why I don't use them now. Bloody things, they spit everywhere. So yes, that is your problem. It's a thicker pigment, it's a thicker paint, it needs diluting or thinning, and it needs to basically be, you know, babysat really to be sprayed. Whereas Model A, you just chuck it in your thing and away you go. Or over your bench. I'll just do some cleaning, carry on.
Okie
I'll just mop this mess up.
That's the good side though.
Yeah, I'm back on my good side because my hair's better on this side. This side goes this way, this one goes this way. Everyone says to me, oh, change your hair, Phil. No, it just goes which side I'm sitting. I like two-face.
It does.
It does. It goes round on like a circuit. You have a scale electric round my head. Yeah. I'm going to cut a wedge in it. I'll be like, will I am.
Clint, good day, Phil and Sid. My question is, can you mix a pigment or paint to Flory model wash, e.g. concrete, to achieve a green slime effect? Forgive me if this has been covered on the site somewhere else.
Take a little bit out and do it to it. Don't stick it in your bottle because you will contaminate the bottle. And if you put in anybody else's pigment or paint, it will turn to concrete. Literally, it will go to a sediment that's thick at the bottom. The thing is, what works so well with ours is the pigment count is so high, it stays, like this one, as solid all the time. Okay, so it's not actually separating. Got a little bit in there, but it doesn't, you don't get water at the top, and that's been stood there for weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, if you put anything into it, the particles will bind to it. The stuff in ours will grab hold of it, and then it falls out of suspension. So you can't do it. If you're doing it in a small part, pigment, certainly you can mix in with it. Okay, and you should be good to go. I wouldn't put acrylic paint with them because ours are just water-based and there's nothing else. So if it does work a bit, you might be okay. Personally, I've never tried it. I'll give it a whirl now. Try to do it with the old one here.
Right. Why are you doing that?
Whilst I'm doing that, you crack on, mate.
The next question is from Paul Lane, comment 22.
Mm-hmm.
Looking into getting a new airbrush, can't decide which one to get. Been looking at Harder and Steinbeck range, thinking of either Infinity or Evolution CR, which comes with a 2-prong nozzle.
Yeah,
wondered what you would recommend.
It depends on your budget. If you're obviously money's no count and you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, I would say obviously go with an Infinity because it has got some nice little features. I don't use them though. That's the thing. If I'm honest, you know, you've got one as well now and all the rest of it. I don't think you do use the lock off on the back.
No, because I don't even know what it does. So.
Well, there you go. So, but that's the thing. If you don't use the features, really, the Evolution is the perfect airbrush. And I've got one, and I've got the AL version, which, to be honest, I've been using today. Look, because you're going to pull the trigger then. I'm always going to pull the trigger at you. Look, it's brilliant. It's covered. But yeah, I've got the AL version. Obviously, don't buy the AL version because it's just a ridiculous amount of money for what it is. Because all it is an Evo, but it's the same price as an Infinity. So, but if you buy a Evolution, which is mine, we've got a workout yesterday, it does everything you could ever want. It's just a little bit chunky, and it's not quite as delicate, shall we say. When I mean delicate, I don't mean, you know, in its construction, in its usage. You can really get in fine with the Infinity, okay? But day to day, I don't think you really need the gizmos. And I think there's about 50 quid difference between the two. So if money's no object, then yeah, knock yourself out. Here's the Infinity. Got the Infinity here. It's a fantastic airbrush. It is still my airbrush of choice. I can't see anything replacing it. And it just works for me really, really well. And don't forget, it's a bit like cars. Everyone has their personal preference for what they like. But I love the HS brushes. They're just so easy to use, so easy to clean and everything else. Evo is still a cracking piece of kit. It does exactly the same as what this does 99% of the time. It's just occasionally, if you want that little bit more of a finer trigger setting and the movements you do, the Infinity will give you that, where the Evo is very much, you know, it's sort of your everyday airbrush versus your more fine one. But to be honest, I use the Infinity all the time now. But the Evo certainly was my bread and butter airbrush that I used, and nothing surpassed it for 10 years. Even though I had an Infinity, I still always used the Evo till recently, and it's just that thing now. It's sort of gone down there, and you know, the realms of time now. I don't tend to touch it, but certainly, you know, until probably only about a year ago, if you look through my videos, you'll still see me using it. Yeah, I've had that Infinity now for, well, 2008 I bought that. So, you know, I've had it a few old years here, so definitely, depends on your budget. If you can afford it, go for it. Oh, keep it. Sorry, boss. Right.
So I just didn't want to delay you.
Well, this is it. Okay.
So there we go. So yes.
We're going in.
Got that. Right. I'm not going to pronounce his first name because he's told me not to.
Well, we managed to do it.
So I'm going to call him Jan.
Yeah,
that's
it's Jan, isn't it?
What he's told me to call him.
Yeah.
He's put, evening guys, call me Jan. Because the mess you made of my name last week still brings me colleagues to a laugh. Which, but fair enough. See, we have got our uses.
See, I can't do this because my arm hurts.
Oh.
There we go, guys. It works perfectly well. No problem at all. But as I say, don't stick it in your bottle of.
So that was your whitewash with a Tamiya paint, was it?
Yes, with Tamiya paint. I can tell you categorically, it does work with everybody's paint. It's just that I don't want to be responsible for people buggering up their equipment. Yeah. One little technique I do
so always check before you.
So always check. I call it the top check. Okay, bung at the top of something, give it a quick go, and you'll be good. No problem at all. One technique you can do with our wash, as I say, I can't say about anybody else's, but you can mix paint with it and then spray it.
You did for one of your builds.
I did, but I didn't publicise it because I don't want people going out and destroying their hard work. But if you wanted
to do that for your build,
no. I did it for a build that they didn't see. That's the difference. The thing is, the wash is fine to spray through an airbrush and all the rest of it. Yeah, you just eat a Haribo and keep quiet in the corner. Yeah, literally, you can put the wash and add a little bit of paint to it to give it texture. What we're talking here now is that you can actually mix it with like mud, the mud colour with other things to give you texture and to do some things with armour. I've done an aircraft to give it a more weathered look. I've added grime to grey. And what it does though, because the clay by its nature is very flat, it's very dead finished and everything else like that, when you actually spray it on there, it's what it does. It gives like real heavy dirt and grime to your, your model. So when you start rubbing it around and everything afterwards, you can eat through the layers and go back to being paint as well as actually what you just sprayed on and everything else. So there's a bug flying around. But as I say, it's one of those things. There's a lot of trial and error. It's not something you just grab it and put it over your best model until you start to play with it.